Okay, I've just finished the Allied artillery in combat phase, and it's taken a long time, so I'm not really familiar with the rules, so I'm constantly having to be checking all the rules and stuff. I found that things like remembering to track combat supply on the Allied supply track here, and keeping track of your stat losses and your replacements to have been it's hard to remember at times. I've got it now, but there's a couple of times I didn't do it and then I had to backtrack and redo it. I've also found that the thing with supply though is quite interesting, because there's such a thing as defensive fire. Now, a unit could be out of supply because of its movement phase, but it could come back into supply as a result of that movement. So, for example, well, I haven't got an actual example though. Let's just leave that for the moment. But that means that there needs to be some way of marking units that are artillery that are out of supply. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use these markers from now on, so I know that these units could potentially fire in the defensive fire part of the combat sequence, even though they could have been out of supply from the previous movement phase. The same rule could really apply if you'd moved. You're out of supply when you move, but then your HQ moved to put you back into general supply. You could end up in the same way. An artillery unit that was suddenly unavailable to fight could find itself in general supply and in a position to fight. So you need to keep an eye on these supply statuses, particularly at the early phase of the game where the German supply net is just, as I've mentioned in the previous videos, just absolutely shattered. They really aren't prepared to conduct an anti-invasion battle at this point in time. Well, it won't take them long to get sorted, but anyway, so I found that was a bit odd and difficult to get your head round. Other things, you've got these little factors where, you know, combined arms and units with red dots, the anti-tank ones can stop combined arms, etc. It'll come to you gradually as you're going. Another thing I've looked at is the combat table. It's woof. It is harsh, even at the best odds. You know, when you're dealing attacks at 7-1, as an attacker, you're still losing steps. And I found that we lost. All right, we were knocking out little German units, like little remnants, companies that were on the board, and we were still losing steps just to wipe them out. And another thing to be aware of is the expenditure of combat supply. If you attack from a single hex, you can use up to 4 sort of naval or artillery factors to support that without expending any combat supply. So what I've been doing, not really being aware of that rule, is trying to form a defensive line. So I've not been optimally placing my units. Instead of putting them in stacks to attack single hexes, I've often spread them out and attack from 2 hexes, which is daft, because that's automatically going to cost you combat supply, two combat supply. So that's something I've learned. Yeah, but all in all, I'm enjoying it, and be interesting to see how the Germans get on now, moving their AM term. See how far their actual reinforcements get, because they're coming in with strategic moves, a lot of them.